Does Social Security Need Saving? By Dimitri, Papadimitriou, and Randall, Wray. Introduction. Saving Social Security was perhaps the most important issue addressed by President Clinton in his 1999 State of the Union address. The President and Congress seemed to agree that projected budget surpluses should be dedicated to saving Social Security before other uses are considered. While not all observers approve of the specifics of the President's plan, there is widespread agreement that he is on the right track. In this brief, we first examine the view that the Social Security program faces a crisis in the years to come, arguing that the assumptions used by the Social Security trustees are far too pessimistic. We understand the natural inclination to be conservative when making projections over periods as long as 75 years. But relatively minor adjustments to the assumptions lead to very different assessments of Social Security's long-term financial soundness. One must be careful about proposing major reforms to deal with problems that may never unfold. We next ask whether it is possible to ensure that we can provide for future retirees through financial reforms made today. Most analyses, including that conducted by the trustees, confuse what they have interpreted as financial problems with the real burden of caring for retirees in the future. If those financial problems do exist, their resolution requires only relatively simple adjustments to accounting procedures. It does not require higher taxes now, or lower benefits in the near future, or running budget surpluses now. If the real problem of caring for retirees lies in producing a sufficient quantity of resources tomorrow, it can be resolved only by increasing productive capacity between today and the future, and by ensuring that a sufficient share of resources will be transferred to tomorrow's elderly. The first can be accomplished by increasing the rate of private and public investment. The second is best accomplished through the tax system at the time the baby boom generation retires. All the major proposals currently being discussed, ranging from calls to invest the Social Security trust funds in the stock market to the President's plan to lock away projected federal budget surpluses in the trust funds, will do nothing to ameliorate the real problem of caring for the aged in the next century. We next turn to an analysis of the real burden that might be faced by future workers who will have to produce the goods and services required by future retirees. This issue is quite separate from the supposed financial crisis, and most analyses fail to distinguish between the two. Analyses also confuse distributive issues with financial matters. The real burden of caring for the aged will rise, but this increase is relatively small and apparently manageable, even using the trustees' rather pessimistic assumptions. This leads us to a discussion of policies that might ease the real burden. None of the major Social Security reforms advocated by the President or his critics will significantly affect this problem. In fact, some of the plans would merely increase the cost of today's workers and retirees without reducing the cost in the future. Such pain without gain is bad social policy. We recommend several policy directions that can reduce the burden today and tomorrow. Most importantly, we advocate returning Social Security to a pay-as-you-go system by lowering payroll taxes now. The tax base used to generate revenue for Social Security programs should be broadened. The trust funds should be capped. General fiscal policy should be biased to increase productive capacity. These policies would allow today's workers to retain more income, but would not in any way reduce the nation's ability to care for tomorrow's retirees. Indeed, such policies would enhance our productive capacity over the next few decades.